Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
So it sounds like you have a lot of opinion and are now backtracking and saying, oh, I just want to be educated. Before you deflect, let's just look at some of the things that you've said. First, you want to talk about this should not be taught in public schools. Then you go on to invalidate me by saying, do you have children of your own? And then you go on to make a comparison to sex education. And then think it's not developmentally appropriate for children to be learning about these topics. And then when it's clear that not everyone is on your side, you decide to feign ignorance and say, oh, well, why don't you tell me? I would really love to know. Trying to have your gotcha moment with, what's an example of a hetero book? And then you want to talk about developmentally appropriate books. And then you talk about how you follow several transgender people. All of these behaviors are so annoying. Making a bold statement, clearly having a stance on this issue, then backtracking, then stating your proximity to the people that you're trying to invalidate. I am an educator. I have been certified by going to school and learning about these things. What qualifications do you have as a parent? Do you know the stages of language acquisition? Do you know what the zone of proximal development is? But we'll just stop at this simple question. What was the theme of this book? My students who are in 2nd grade know how to identify the theme of a book. Did you find the theme of this book? Because if you were able to, you would understand that this is a developmentally appropriate book. And I don't understand the reason why so many of you want to equate the discussion about sexuality and gender identity to actual sex. In what part of this book discusses the topic of sex at all? So again, I ask you, what is the theme of this book? And you might be struggling with this. So here's a way that I would teach kids what theme is. So again, tell me what the theme of the book is.
Before I talk about what white privilege is, I want to talk about what it's not. White privilege doesn't mean that white people won't experience suffering. It means that we benefit from our culture being the norm. To start, we put homes on national historic registries and praise the white man who built it, except it was built by the hands of his enslaved persons. Meanwhile, their housing was destroyed or repurposed. One of the main reasons that the racial wealth gap exists is because white people have the unique advantage of inheritance or generational wealth. White people are far more likely, just from a historical standpoint, to have generational wealth, not to mention the laws that keep them wealthy. White people are also far more likely to experience more isolated form of poverty rather than community poverty, which gives them access to more resources. I've never feared for my life while walking somewhere or bird watching. I don't know any white people who have been killed by cops over $20. As a white person, I'm far less likely to receive harsh jail time when convicted of a crime, and I'm much more likely to have a lower fine than a person of color. White people have thrived off the medical marijuana industry. Meanwhile, people of color sit in jail with ridiculously long sentences, even though marijuana is legal in parts of the country. My racist history is directly taught in schools, whereas to learn Native American history or Black history, you take an elective. I'm able to find ingredients for most culturally white foods, whereas I would have to go to an ethnic aisle for something less normal for white culture. For my hair and body care, I can go to just about any aisle of the store. We say white people's names repeatedly, even people that weren't that great. We put them in our currency and we teach about them every day. But years later, very few people are saying Breonna Taylor's name. White people have an overall general advantage in history. And we still continue to benefit from systems rooted in racism. It's obvious in communities across the country. It's clear on school zoning maps, prisons, and in politics. It's really not hard to find white privilege. You just have to be willing to look at it.
Go ahead and tell everybody, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes I am, yes I am, yes I am.
What's something you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud? The left is a reason why we will never have liberation. This is literally the dumbest video that I've seen in a while, and I'm not attacking. She just made this big sweeping generalization. People asked her in the comments, she completely ignored them. Like, what are you talking about? And then what are you doing? Because I feel like it's a lot of pointing fingers, but what are you doing about the situation? Because just sitting on TikTok and talking about these issues, her perspective and her cronies got mad at me for calling out her horrible takes and just misconstruing of Black thought. So the last thing I'm gonna say about Evelyn or her perspective, if she blocks me, I don't care. Like, I don't do this for her. I just need y'all to understand something, and it has something to do with her, but it also has to do with a lot of non-Black allies that perpetuate the same thing that she does. You're not an ally, especially if you're not listening when someone calls you out for doing so. An Ivy League degree does not mean that you understand. We have senators who have been to Ivy Leagues. They're not experts on anything, especially those who are Republican. We've had conversations about this. So why do y'all think that Ivy League degree automatically means smart? College degrees automatically mean smart when it doesn't. I'm so tired of y'all doing this. I'm so tired of seeing our, so many points being misrepresented on this app, and then the excuse being used, well, I don't have time for nuance. There's 3-minute videos, babe.
She's right. If you see those clips and do not see her pain, you're part of the problem. And her pain is a direct result of me failing as an ally to her and to her community. Having 2 Harvard degrees and multiple Ivy League degrees does not make me any smarter than everybody else. It also does not give me access to the range of Black experiences. I am not in their skin. Not even a single Black person has the access to the full range of Black experiences. My job as someone who is on the journey of being an ally is to listen to everyone in that community as much as possible. And here, I did not do that. I chose to listen to Black people who I've known in my own world, and chose not to listen to Black people who I do not know. That is my failure as someone wanting to be an ally to the Black community. If you are my supporter, you will listen to her. Some people have said that she's one of the keyboard warriors with a face. Listen, if there's ever 50-50 chance that someone is a keyboard warrior and someone's genuinely hurt, I am assuming that person's genuinely hurt. Having been on the receiving end of no assumptions of grace, I know how dehumanizing and awful that feels. And I am not doing that to other people, especially the people who I'm supposed to be advocating for. From her words, please do not see an insult to me. Please realize that that is how deeply people get hurt. When a supposed ally betrays you by not including nuances that deeply impact the very people that the ally is supposed to be advocating for. Her pain is my fault. If you attack her, you are not a supporter of mine. Attacking her is attacking me. Thank you for challenging me and helping me grow as an ally.
4 von Pinky Trash. Wie ihr seht, haben die 2 Herren ein großes Problem mit Periode. Etwas ganz Normalem. Und anstatt etwas Gutes zu tun, entwickeln die verdammte Handschuhe. Handschuhe, die man nicht mehr entsorgen kann. Denn ja, sie sagen, es ist aus recyceltem Plastik. Aber habt ihr denn auch daran gedacht, dass wenn da drinnen ein Tampon liegt, es nicht mehr recycelt werden kann? Nein, natürlich nicht. Weshalb denn auch? Was sie also gerade schaffen möchten, ist ein Tampon diskret zu entsorgen. Alter, was soll das? Wir befinden uns in einer Zeit, wo Periode gerade enttabuisiert wird. Und dann kommt ihr und tabuisiert es wieder. Sagt da mit den kleinen Mädchen, die gerade ihre Periode bekommen haben, Periode ist widerlich. Schäm dich. Wehe, du zeigst dein Tampon irgendwo. Wehe, irgendjemand sieht dein Menstruationsblut. Alter, was ist bei euch falsch? Leute, ich koche gerade. Wirklich, ich koche gerade. Und dann bekommt ihr auch noch einen Deal. Höhle der Löwen? Bravo. Bravo. Teil 5 folgt.
Intentions versus impact. You, as a privileged person, let's say you're a white male, maybe a white, straight, cis male, may not mean harm to want to just debate a topic that you find interesting. And you might end up on a live with people of color and or people that are queer, and a lot of them both, and you may not get the kind of kindness and warmth you may be expecting. Now, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have this problem because everybody would be equal anyway. But because marginalized people and communities are already sensitive from living their lives and having their existence up for debate, we get exhausted. So please understand that what might just be a fun throwaway debate topic for you may be something that opens up a lot of trauma and drains us.
My dear, sweet child, that's what I do. It's what I live for.
If you complain about a woman posting a picture showing her cleavage, you are either 1, insecure, 2, could never get a girl like that, or 3, wish you were her and had big boobs.
Whoa, the bar is so much lower than I ever imagined.
let me make sure I got this right. So if a shooter is of Hispanic descent, it's, you know, build a wall. Trump was right. We should have built that wall. And if they were of Middle Eastern descent, by God, it's some Muslims as a real terrorist. I mean, we should have banned all of them from the United States after 9/11. I don't know what we were thinking. Or if they're black, I guess some BLM's the ones we got to watch out for. They're the real terrorists in this country. I don't know why they mess with all these God-fearing patriots out here. And BLM folks are the one they need to be keeping eyes on. But if the shooter's white, you know, we've really let down young men in this country these days. I mean, we need to be looking at this. When all these violent video games and movies and that rap music, I done told y'all about that godforsaken rap music that they listen to. That's what makes them do all this stuff. We need to study this, see how we can help these boys out. Just want to make sure I got it right. Peace.